She's a mom now. Hello you, welcome back. This is a slightly different kind of video, I know, but it's one that I really wanted to make because I did not, when I was pregnant, want to buy all the things that everyone was telling me I needed. I just didn't think that I actually needed all of this stuff, like an entire new maternity wardrobe and all these little tidbits that people say that you absolutely need. And so I was really conscious and cautious of not overbuying, not falling into that trap of, oh, you're pregnant, so make sure you get this, otherwise all hell will break loose. I really wanted to be eco-conscious. And so I have compiled a list of 7 of the must-haves for pregnancy that don't fall into those traps, and things that I really hope help you in the same way that they helped me. And I feel like these are really the bare minimum. They're inexpensive, they make such a difference. And yeah, let's get straight into it. Starting off with the pregnancy pillow. I did not realize just how uncomfortable I would feel during sleep and how kind of quickly that would happen. I got an amazing pregnancy pillow from Baby Bub. What I love about the one that I got is it's not huge. So a lot of the pregnancy pillows that I looked into, honestly, were like the size of the bed, fat, long. Like, I don't know where your partner goes because it looks like they take up the entire bed. I didn't want one that was that large and heavy. So basically I got one that is, I'll show a photo of it here, but essentially there is a long bit that kind of is a bit like a yoga bolster. I know a lot of you are into yoga. You'll know what a yoga bolster is, but essentially an oblong cushion pillow. But it also was really smart, and this is where it comes into like being eco-conscious, because it had attachments. So essentially it had 2 pieces that you can detach. So for the second trimester, I just used the smaller setting, which was essentially 2 cushions either side and a strap that had Velcro that I could attach it. I wanted to sleep with both of them. I had a cushion under my bump and I had a cushion behind my back. Now that stopped me from rolling over onto my back, which you're not supposed to do when you're pregnant because of this large vein that runs in your body. I'm going to insert more details on why. Basically, it's better for the baby if you avoid lying on your back, especially when you go to sleep and you kind of start sleeping on one side. So this cushions under your bump and it cushions under your back and it prevents you from rolling. When I got into my 3rd trimester, that long kind of yoga bolster like cushion, which I actually didn't think I would use, because in my 1st and 2nd trimester, I was like, when am I going to use that? I don't need it. Third trimester, I was like, okay, the bump was getting a lot bigger and I was getting more uncomfortable in bed. And that made a huge difference to supporting that lower back pain that I was experiencing, that hip pain that I was experiencing. But another thing is they have another little attachment that doubles up as a breastfeeding pillow. So actually the 3 smaller cushions, so not that oblong one, I have used, because I am now postpartum and a mum to my baby boy Brody, I have been using that to prop me up on the sofa to support breastfeeding and to get comfortable. So I didn't have to buy a separate breastfeeding pillow. I bought one pregnancy pillow, and I've got a pregnancy pillow to last all 3 trimesters because there were different needs that I needed it for, and then also one to last me postpartum. The best thing is that the cushions I'm still using, like I'll probably still use for the next year while I am breastfeeding. But also what I didn't mention is in pregnancy, it's really important that you sit upright and you don't kind of slouch back. Posture is really important to me, being a yoga teacher, and I think I had the best posture of my life during my pregnancy, and it's because I was so conscious of this upright, forward, open position, not just for labour and birth, but for pregnancy. And so on the sofa, I was never lying back. If I wanted to lie down, I would lie horizontally, so I'd lie on my side like I was going to bed. But if I was watching TV, for example, or reading, I would be propped up with all these little cushions around me, and then I would just take them to bed that night. So I just think a pregnancy pillow, really great for support, and it's not an unneeded investment. Like, you do need something that is going to help support you and prop you up, especially because mobility and your posture is so important throughout your entire pregnancy, but especially as you move into labour and birth. Keeping open and keeping mobile. Of course, you don't have to buy a separate pregnancy pillow. You may already have an oblong cushion, great, use that. You may already have smaller cushions that you can kind of stuff in to prop yourself up on the sofa and use for breastfeeding, amazing. But if you want something like this, then I definitely say a pregnancy pillow was one thing that I used every single day of my pregnancy. The next one are maternity leggings. Now I live in leggings. Again, as a yoga teacher, I'm constantly moving, I'm constantly filming for my membership platform, or I am out on the go, and I just find leggings really, really comfortable. But I didn't realize, because I have a lot of leggings that are really comfortable, so they don't suck me in at the waist, but I didn't realize that when you're pregnant, it's just different. Like you have a bump, you just need a different kind of support. So I got 2 pairs of maternity leggings. They're again by Baby Bub, and I got them in medium and large. I'm really happy I got 2 different sizes. I didn't kind of balloon in my pregnancy. I stayed quite petite, but I did obviously have a bump, which was growing. I didn't have a huge bump though. But even without a huge bump, I think if you size up, you've just got that added comfort and you're gonna avoid any type of digging in to your stomach area. A lot of the time also, I just didn't want anything on my tummy. Especially during kind of end of second into third trimester, I just wanted the leggings down and the bump to be free. But for the times when I was maybe teaching a class, because I taught yoga right up until 37 weeks, I gave birth 38 weeks. So just a week before I stopped teaching in person, like dynamic vinyasa practices, but I was still practicing myself right up until I gave birth. And also in my labor and birth, it was like a big yoga session. Honestly, I was on all fours a lot of the time. It was very movement, mobility focused, which I really believe is a big contributor as to why I gave birth so quickly. If you want to know more about the positive affirmations that I did, I'll link up the videos because they made a huge, huge difference. But yeah, get comfy in maternity leggings. I just think sizing up in a normal pair of leggings is not going to do the job because you have got a bump that is specific to pregnancy. So maternity leggings, I lived in them and didn't really wear anything other than that throughout my whole pregnancy, really. The third is probably the most important, and that is where you can get it, time. Now, I know lots of people work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, you're pregnant, you're probably really tired anyway, in the evenings and the weekends, you probably just want to chill. But the time for self-education. I went absolutely ham on educating myself about the physiological process of pregnancy, labor, and birth. It was the most empowering work I've ever done in my life, and it made such a difference as to how I viewed that whole process of what's happening in my body and what my body is doing. I had so much more respect for myself. I had so much honor for what I was creating, and I loved my body more than I have ever loved my body in pregnancy and postpartum, which is not how I thought I would feel as I was getting bigger and as my body was shape-shifting. But the amazing thing is we are shape-shifters, and it's the coolest thing on earth to do that if that's a decision that you want to go through, if you would like to be pregnant, if you want to have a child. It's just so cool. And I really felt empowered in that education piece. I would say that prior to that, I did have quite an oppressive view of pregnancy and of labor and of birth. I saw it as this kind of terrifying thing, full of panic. It's got to be a medicalized event. It's got to be in the hospital. It's the most painful thing in the entire world. All of this stuff, this narrative that has been taught to us. And over the course of my pregnancy, I really wanted to undo these unconscious biases and these thought patterns that had been put in my mind from things that we see on TV, and the misrepresentation a lot of the time of what birth often does look like, and really remembering that it is a natural physiological process that women have been doing for millennia, was honestly game-changing in then the birth and labor and birth that I then had. I really believe it. Again, the positive affirmation videos, I've got 3, I think, on here, the exact affirmations that I used throughout. I birthed my baby boy in like 3.5 hours. It was a very quick labor. It wasn't kind of too quick that I was terrified. I was in early labor for most of the day prior, and I gave birth really early in the morning of the next day. But yeah, I experienced no panic at all. I did experience pain, but there was no panic. And there was this real belief that pain is a part of the process, not for everyone, but it can be part of the process, and it's a useful part of the process to educate your body on, okay, I'm feeling pain in this area, this is getting me closer to my baby, and I need to breathe through this, I need to not push up against it and resist it, I need to go with the flow. Obviously, a lot of my yoga practice helped with this. The reason why I'm saying time is time for education, but there are 2 documentaries that I'd really recommend. One is Orgasmic Birth, really interesting, different insight into what birth could look like. And the other one, I forget the name of, I'm going to link it below. Basically a documentary that Ricky Lake did, the talk show host, the American talk show host. It's on Amazon Prime, really recommend that. I also read not loads of books, but I read 2 books that completely changed my life and my view. I'd say maybe 3 books. I am going to do another YouTube video specifically on the books because I want to dive into those in a bit more detail. I did read probably 5 books in total, but there were 3 of those that were really, really game changing. So the time to educate yourself, if you can give yourself that time, education, knowledge, it's really powerful. And it just means that you're not handing yourself over to an authority figure when you get into a potentially medicalized situation. You are more empowered, you have the knowledge, and I really got well versed in kind of all of the medical terminology, so I knew what to look out for if something was not progressing or something happened where they would want to monitor more. I wanted to know all the terms and terminology, and not just me, but also my partner. So that's another thing I would say, time for not you, but also for your partner, so you can both study it together and you're both really confident going into that experience of what pregnancy is, but also what labour and birth looks like. The next one, number 4, is also to help you with labour and birth, and that is a pregnancy ball or a gym ball. I think pregnancy balls are a little bit higher off the ground, so they're a bit easier to get down and get up off. But if you're squatting regularly and doing a lot of yogi squats, which I really, really recommend doing, a lot of squats, keep those hips nice and open, big long lunges, lots of that kind of stuff. But a pregnancy ball is actually really comfortable to sit on. I used to think they're really uncomfortable to sit on. So we had one when I worked in my corporate job. We had balls in the office that you could sit on if you didn't want to sit at your office chair. And I'd be like, how do people sit on this all day? Like, my back is killing from being in an upright, good posture position. But when you're pregnant, I don't know, it just felt really good for me to be on the ball, to rock from side to side, to do hip circles on the ball. And then in labour, I didn't really use it actually in labour, but I definitely used it a lot in my 3rd trimester, just to encourage those hip opening movements. And when I was getting a bit bigger, it was just a nice support to have. So any kind of pregnancy or gym ball that you might already have is really useful and really helpful, and also something that you can use afterwards. It's not something that you need to get rid of after you're pregnant. Number 5, massage oil. So I follow the ancient holistic healing modality, which is Ayurveda. I was raised with it. My grandparents, my mum shared these gorgeous ancient rituals, one of which was called Abhyanga, which is self-massage, massage with oils. Oiling our body is such a beautiful way to connect inwards, and I really think this is one of the reasons why I felt a lot of compassion, gratitude, and respect for my body as it changed. So I have always done this practice, but not every single day. I've always thought it'd be such a nice thing to do every day, and in my pregnancy, that is when I started it. I started doing it every single day. If I didn't have the time to do my whole body, I would make sure I oiled my boobs and my bump. That was not just to avoid stretch marks, because I don't think you can always avoid stretch marks. I think a lot of it is hereditary. I didn't get any, and I really believe that's because my mum didn't get any stretch marks, so I think that's why I didn't as well. Oiling obviously does help. It creates that moisture and it, nourishes you. But I always say, I think oiling your body and self-massage is really about love. Like, the Sanskrit word for to oil is the same as to love. It's not a practice of, I don't want this on my body, and hating something that might form on your body. It's really about connecting with yourself, connecting with your changing body, and connecting with your baby. I was pregnant from August through to April. So over the winter period, it would have been really easy for me to hide my body and kind of just be in oversized clothing a lot of the time. And I was, because it was winter and I wanted to be cozy like you do. But I found it so valuable to, be naked in front of the mirror and watch how my body was changing and really be nice to it and use some kind language towards it and speak to my baby and have that communication and have time to put my hands on my body as it was changing. So any kind of massage oil, I actually make my own. So I use sweet almond oil and then any essential oils. There are some that you shouldn't use when you're pregnant, so look it up. But the safe ones that I used, lavender, frankincense. I usually had a mix of sweet almond, lavender and frankincense, or sweet almond and lavender, or sweet almond and frankincense. Also coconut oil and rose, that's really beautiful. It's also very nourishing, it's really hydrating. So you can make your own. Coconut oil you can buy from the supermarket. It is inexpensive. You can use the same coconut oil to cook with. So again, I want to encourage you to get things that you're not then getting rid of after pregnancy. You can continue to use. Rose as well, if you buy rose water, you can mix that into the coconut oil. But rose water you can also use in cooking. And you can also just use that, like I have a rose water poured into a spray bottle that lives in my fridge. So whenever I want a cooling, hydrating burst of rose water spray, I use that. And I also used that same rose water spray in my labour and birth when I was overheating and I felt like I was getting really warm and I wanted just a bit of a cooler, a natural spritz of rose water spray, all natural, no nasties. Again, when you're pregnant, you've got to be careful about what you use on your skin. So making my own massage oils was just like a really nice thing. I also then started making massage oils for my baby, which I use on him now. And I also started making his own nappy balm, which again, I use on him and has been incredible with the little bits of nappy rash that he's got, completely disappeared from my homemade nappy balm. So if you want a recipe or if you want me to do a video on that and my making of massage oils, I got very into being creative with these concoctions during my pregnancy. Let me know in the comments if you want a video on that and I will share a little bit more. Comfy underwear is key. I honestly, in my first trimester, just went out and bought large underwear, elasticated, large pants and large soft cup bras. Now, I don't really wear bras. Like I live in sports bras, which can be quite constricting because obviously they're trying to hold you in. But the soft cups I lived in throughout my pregnancy and I'm living in postpartum as well. And the large pants, again, served me all the way from first trimester through to postpartum. I probably bought 3 or 4 soft cup bras and maybe like a 10 pack of the large pants. And honestly, it was needed, right? Like everything else I had was in size small or extra small. So I needed to size up. Again, that's something that was a necessity, like that was necessary for me to do. And again, because of the duration of time that it's lasted me, I don't feel bad about making that purchase. I always do feel that guilt of buying from a shop. Obviously, I'm not going to buy underwear from the charity shop, but I always shop secondhand or pre-loved clothing. But I think with pregnancy and when you're buying certain items, you obviously want to buy that from a store and be the first person to wear that underwear. So definitely getting large. You know, did I need a large size in my first trimester? Probably not. But it was just nice to wear something that was really loose, didn't cut into me. The other thing I would say is that if you have a partner who wears boxers and they're bigger than you, boxers are great. Again, really loose, really nice and easy. If all of my pants were in the wash, I would borrow my husband's boxers and they would just be really comfortable. So that is an alternative if you don't want to invest in new underwear and you want to pinch your partner's boxers, then you can go ahead and do that. And then lastly, straws. This is going to sound like a bit of a funny one, but pregnancy and postpartum is thirsty work. And actually labour and birth, thirsty work. You're going to be thirsty. Like in my first trimester, I was very thirsty a lot of the time. Like I'd wake up parched. It was like I always describe my first trimester, and everyone's is different. If you're not pregnant and you're thinking about getting pregnant, don't let this scare you because everyone has a different experience. But for me, it was like being hungover every day. Like I was sick every day. I felt that like insane quench for thirst that can never quite be satisfied. I also felt that insane like taste for hunger that can never be satisfied. And I just wanted to eat carbs. Like McDonald's became my best friend, like chips, noodles, Marmite on toast, crumpets, rice cakes. Beige white food was my best friend. And and then also just being really thirsty and not wanting to drink anything unless the entire ice cube, like I literally refused to drink it unless the entire ice cube tray had been emptied into the glass and there was a straw in the glass. If my husband bought me a drink, like a glass of water, I would honestly like send it back to the kitchen in my own house. I'd be like, no, where's the straw? And why are there 2 ice cubes? The entire tray of ice cubes must be decanted. That's the wrong word. Must be slotted out and into the drink. So yeah, that was a wild time. The straws are key. I go for the metal straws. Again, this is eco-friendly, lasts forever. I already have these metal straws. I have previously had glass straws. Wouldn't advise getting glass straws because if you drop them, sometimes they smash. And because it's a straw, it shatters into loads of different pieces and also doesn't last as long. Obviously, a metal straw lasts a lot longer. And the pack that I've got, I'll link below, but it comes with a little straw cleaner, so you don't have to worry about any gunk getting in the straw and not being able to clean all the way through it because the straw cleaner does that. And I still use them. So I use them I've used them before I was pregnant, but I used them consistently throughout my pregnancy. Then I used them throughout my labor and birth. I was literally drinking coconut water, ginger switchel. So I basically batch made a specific drink. I didn't want to take like a Lucozade because I thought the sugar rush and then the drop in sugar, I didn't want to have like a crash in the middle of labor. I wanted to have all the energy I could. So I made a natural electrolyte drink, which tasted delicious, called Ginger Switchel. Again, let me know if you want to know more about that and how I made it, and in the comments, and I can share that with you. But the 3 drinks I had, water, coconut water, and the Ginger Switchel, always with a straw. You kind of want to have a straw because you want to be able to drink when you're lying down or from any position. So that's really helpful in your labor and birth. And then again, postpartum, it's just easier to drink with a straw. If you've got a baby on you, if you're breastfeeding, if you're bottle feeding, you kind of want to reach for a drink and just like have the straw. It just makes the drink a little bit closer to you and it makes it a bit more convenient. So number 7 would definitely be straws, but specifically metal straws. Again, thinking about longevity, thinking about what is I wouldn't say it's a necessity, that one, but I would say that if it helps you, you don't have to worry about making that purchase, especially if you're trying to be eco-conscious, environmentally friendly, and aware of where you're spending your money. That is one that, again, is going to last you a long time. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this. If you got value out of it, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. I'm going to be sharing a lot more about my pregnancy and postpartum journey. So if you have any comments or questions, then again, let me know. And I've got a few other videos on here. I've actually just put it in a separate pregnancy and postpartum like baby playlist. So if there's more you want to know, I'm thinking about doing a newborn must-haves, then do let me know if you want to see that. And I'll see you again very soon. Bye.